fantastic. I mean, we were so nervous beforehand, but just people laughed a lot and laughed in places that you're not really expecting, and that's always a bit of a surprise.
We felt it was important to give people permission to laugh, given the nature of the story. And interestingly, some of the comedy came from improvisation as well as from the script, that we sort of took Anthony's architecture and then riffed on it. So it was nice to know that some of our work in spontaneity in the moment was working so well for the audience too.
Also, when you meet Stephen, the thing that one of the things you leave with is he sort of emanates humour. He's like genuinely one of the funniest men I've ever met, and we met him just before we started filming, about 5 days before we started, and Felicity and I took that into the filming, that finding that humour, that wit, that hope in pretty much every scene was really important, and James sort of allowed us that.
It's true to the character. He's a very witty and mischievous man. And I think Eddie caught all that.
Yeah, I think it's to the situation as well. When things are really bad in life, you often need humour to get through them. So we wanted to bring that aspect to it.
James and Anthony had a relationship with Stephen for quite a while, and I got to meet him, as I said, just before, and it was very odd because I'd done months and months of research, and then actually finally meeting him was just before we started filming. So there was a weird sense that I'd had to do quite a lot of the prep. But one of the things he said to me was, he asked me if I was playing him before the voice machine, and I said yes, and he said my voice was very slurred, and it was very interesting because James and I discussed that and working out how far, because it's the truth of ALS, MND, that it can affect tongue muscles and it really affects your speech, and how far we took that. I really wanted to push that because Stephen had actually said as much, that it was important to him. And we didn't want to shy away from those aspects of the illness.
When you're dealing with such sort of rich emotional scenes and very, difficult situations that the Hawking family were in, I felt like every day there was sort of a new battle. And I just think we wanted to convey they're extraordinary people in real life. They really are, and we just wanted to be true to that and make them as nuanced and wonderful as they are. So I think every day we were just kept trying to push ourselves and find something that we hadn't done in a scene before, constantly challenging ourselves.
It was about you couldn't have an off moment. We had to be rigorous in every sense of the word. Quite often, for example, in films, you can shoot it and then you can re-edit it in different orders. And James and I were talking a lot early on that with motor neuron disease, ALS, when a muscle goes, it doesn't come back again. So you can't have those scenes rearranged and play. So we had to be really, I don't think I've ever approached a job with knowing that you had to do so much technically to begin with, that all of that work was embedded by the time that we actually started playing. And James is so extraordinary because he allows actors and creates an environment of collaboration in which we can play emotionally entirely freely, and that was the greatest thing.
And I think there was also with Benoit Delhomme, who's an amazing DOP, and James's style, it felt like the camera was there's an intensity to the sort of gaze that you couldn't ever sort of phone anything in. There was such a precision, and they were always, it was such a nice experience as an actor, because you would give us so much freedom. We'd come in and they'd watch what we did before setting up where the camera was going to be, which can be quite rare. Sometimes it's the other way around, so that we really felt like the performances were driving the story.
That gives the actors a lot of responsibility. You say freedom, but it's freedom with a lot of responsibility. And you're right, every day it felt like there was something really difficult and special to do. Even the very last scene that we shot in the production was a really difficult scene. And that just keeps you on your game every day. And it was a long shoot, and we just had to be on every scene, every moment, every shot, which is great in a way. It's disciplined. It's how it should be.
The stakes feel high, though, when you're given the responsibility of playing someone or a family, representing a family's story that is as extraordinary as this, and they are the ultimate critics because they were incredibly generous in helping us through the process, but ultimately they're going to be the ones judging it, and the fact that they approved of the film was the greatest compliment for us.
You don't want them to feel, because they're all real people living their lives, you don't want them to feel exploited or exposed in any way, and their response has been really warm and makes us feel better about doing it.